Good afternoon, everyone. We're getting toward the end. Farmers warning food aisles will soon be empty because of crushing conditions. Right as the UAE actually issues gold in the notes. Add in the insect biodiversity plummeting as global food supply teeters toward collapse. Unexplainable light pillars requiring frozen ice crystals to Tory, but in the mid-60s, think of another explanation. The floods in Afghanistan, the floods from Lahar's volcanic eruptions, Indonesia. Are these sculpted hills, pyramids, or are they natural formations? Which leaves us somewhere between the apocalypse and having to go to work. And with all the solar activity happening and giant fireballs being spotted across the world, thought I'd bring you back here. November 12th, 1833. Meteor shower with tens of thousands of shooting stars visible every hour. Now, will we experience something like this again? But it does seem there's an enormous amount of eyes now pointed on purpose through the media to look at the heavens. What are they broadcasting to you about the changes that are inbound? Let's start with something happy. Rainbow was so perfect, everybody stopped. Well, there's still a few cars moving, but now would this catch your eye? Would you stop also? To be able to watch something of perfection for even those few seconds longer. Time well spent. And onto the Houston storm, Go 16, showing you the ferocious front moving through that's destroying infrastructure. I think we've crossed over that point in the cycle where our human-made infrastructure is not going to withstand what nature throws at us in a different magnetic field and the rapid shift that is occurring. Volcanism goes right along with it. Lahars from Indonesia. Now imagine the power of that flood mixed with ash to rip those trees, scour them, and send them down what would have been a stream, widen that out enough to slam it into a city down mountain. That is enormous power. And we've seen a couple 78,000 foot ash ejecta as well, Indonesia, 2 degrees north latitude, a few weeks back, so we'll see how that thins out and plays out. But something else in the atmosphere, Japan, 9 pillars of light mistaken for an alien invasion. You got to give it a strange headline because they can't explain it. They tried to, but it is absolutely unexplainable at this moment. The phenomenon was noticed in Tottori Prefecture. When the air temperature drops at night, see, they conveniently forget to say it has to be ice crystals in the clouds or near ground surface for this event to take place. Crystals sometimes form in the air above illuminated fishing boats. Well, how do you have crystals if you don't have ice? See, they just can't get it. Tottori, looking out north into the Sea of Japan. Now, these light pillars are quite common when it's 20 degrees below zero Celsius or, 15 Fahrenheit. It has to be below freezing. You need ice crystals in the air. That's the whole thing. Beautiful sight when it does occur, but what are light pillars? Extremely cold atmospheres. This is the definition from science websites. You can look it up yourself. Now the light refracts off of these ice crystals in the human viewer, as you can see looking up at this with the swamp gas, and if Venus is in the right position on the full moon, you should be able to see the light pillar according to the Japanese media or something. But these are not explainable through the regular mechanism that generates them. David Brady warns the S&P could nosedive to 1,000 points, erasing 14 years of gains. CEOs like Jamie Dimon have been warning about 70s era stagflation. The 70s were a lost decade for the stock market, but gold and silver exploded higher. From 1972 to 1974, gold gained 240% and silver surged 315%. Call the proud Americans of the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Also, Patriot Gold Group has a no fee for life IRA where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. No fee for life IRA on qualifying rollovers. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. Even shooting lasers into the sky still doesn't explain it. So we're actually into the unexplainable atmospheric phenomenon chapter of this entire shift of our civilization. And speaking of that, Few images coming here. Are these human sculpted pyramids from the original mountains that were in place? This is the question. Not man-made and built stone for stone like the Egyptian pyramids, but the mountains were there and they were sculpted into this shape. Question for us here, and a little bit higher up in drone footage, they look more symmetrical, especially the one off to the right there that you can see at probably the 2 o'clock position. But this is a well-known method to do earthworks, and you might look at the Bosnian pyramid as well if you think that is something. A lot of people do. I haven't been there, can't say. This is in Guilin area, so if you're in China, give these a look. There's only a few that have this pyramidal structure. The rest are rounded like the natural feature that they are. So I guess it would bring me back to antiquity and going back into the past. So they talk about civilizations being around 30,000 years ago, 50,000 years, 80,000 years ago. Then we got the interglacial from last time, 10,000 years of warmth, say 110,000 years ago. What kind of civilizations could have occurred? What kind of technology? I mean, it's just this repeating cycle of a civilization comes up with technology, and I'll even take that last 8,000 years. Why do they rise to the apex of where they were with military, with art, with mathematics, with agriculture, and then wham, they collapse every single time? That should not happen unless something natural, more powerful comes in and they have no way to deal with nature's ferocity and inability then for us as humans to grow food reliably. And without the food, we don't have an economy, and you can see how this all spins into, wait, today you can't have that much disposable income going to pay for food without people on the streets rioting. So, you know, they get into this feedback loop of nature throws it at us first. We try to respond. You can still grow food in some areas. It's going to cost far more, and then you just get into this loop. Now, eventually, when that supply chain's cut, perhaps because of angry people, then everything stops on a dime, and then you get to the real changes. How close are we to that? Not sure, but these massive floods in Afghanistan, I'm looking at a town here inundated, and they're very good at capturing water and terracing and water flows. So I'm looking at this saying, what is massive? And some footage for it right here during the flood. That is orders of magnitude far above anything. And the rivers are regaining their courses again, which they used to be thousands of years ago. And taking a look in Saudi Arabia at the strobe lightning. Yeah, I say that again, strobe lightning. What would you think if you saw this in an area where it rarely gets rain? Saw this in Tennessee also a week and a half ago. A little bit faster, but for about 4 straight hours was this many strikes everywhere. It just kept on layering on top, on top, on top, just like you're seeing here, but a little faster, a little more dense, a little more intense. And about 4.5 inches of rain here in less than a day. So the desert shall turn green. Many a prophecy and soothsayer across time has spoken about this shift. Once we start to see this, we are definitely looking for something in a civilization shift as well. It's just a cycle, but it does bring us back to these same people understanding the cycles, understand that there is a collapse of the traditional economy. So here we go, Dubai already issuing 1 gram of gold inside their notes. Now these are at the moment hard to get, shall we say, and there's a premium on them. They're very much like goldbacks here in the United States, so you can get some states. But what is it about this new gold-backed currency and the shift of economies away from northern latitude countries such as Canada, the United States, etc.? Is our ability to grow food going to be impacted? Because they're going 1 gram of gold equals 1 barrel of oil. And why is this shift occurring right now unless there is going to be a known effect from the shift, and they're already pre-preparing for it, which I think they are. So right out of the UK here, farmers warn food aisles will soon be empty because of crushing conditions. Guardian putting this out, talking about so much rain that they're unable to plant. The most rain since 1836. Puts it in perspective. We're seeing a huge amount of rainfall across the world. Now, dry weather in Brazil, that was before the massive floods a couple weeks ago. So they were having a drought, then they were inundated with these all-time record floods. Southern Brazil, they hadn't seen that in supposedly a 1,000-year flood. Vietnam, too much rain. Spain, severe drought. But then we got record-breaking rain and snowfall in California. El Nino's flipping to La Nina quickly. Within the next few months, that's going to shift a lot of things. It's going to even be wetter. Peru and also Argentina, it got so cold so fast up there, they were into rolling blackouts because the draw on the grid, it got so incredibly cold that they're still dealing with the aftermath of trying to get their electricity supply stabilized once again. And then add in insect biodiversity plummets, global food supply teeters toward collapse. That kind of sums it up, except that it's all based on a cycle which many know about this cycle. That would be the last bit for me to fill in the headline. They're not telling you. They're stringing you along and leaving you and I out here on the windshield. So somehow we ended up here, follow the black arrow into between the apocalypse and having to go to work. And I think a lot of people feel that same way. Like something, you can see it, you can sense it in the air. That shift is here, the economy shift is here. Now, the control of the citizens across the planet needs to tighten a little bit, and you're going to watch all the moneyed class disappear as well. So what's next? That's what the whole Adapt 2030 channel's been about. It's like bringing us to this point, trying to say this cycle's inbound. Well, we're here now. We've definitely jumped over that line where now it is here and we're dealing with the repercussions of it. The intensity of these storms is going to get really just so far beyond what you can expect in terms of what our infrastructure built in the last 100 years, 50 years, 20 years can withstand from nature in its ferocity can throw at us. Every single storm now is going to bring damage. So how long will it take before insurance companies are not going to insure homes any longer? They've already limited fire insurance for a lot of places, flood insurance. So when it comes to every storm causes damage and we can't insure homes anymore, how are we going to be able to keep mortgages? That should be another question. We're at the cusp of multi-pound hailstones as storm fronts coming through now. We've seen it in so many places across the planet, all starting within the last 6 months. So the indications and the forecast out were it would begin and you would start to see it in a few select places, which we're seeing now. But then it would become commonplace where every single front coming through would drop massive hail. But then from there it was going to increase where the hailstones would become 2 to 5 pounds. And then what? Where people would run when they saw clouds gathering on the horizon, when they saw it dark and black and you see the winds picking up and knew these electrical fronts were coming through with high winds, they would run for their lives. That was where we're going. Where we sit today is not that yet. So how does the insurance industry cope with that? How does our financial system cope with that? How does our food production system cope with that? Our infrastructure. Our modern world can't withstand that. That's why the reset's occurring right now. It's all tied together. All of it. And if you are thinking about storable foods, My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030, 3-month emergency food supply. That link's in the description box below with some images, stories, graphics tonight to share with your friends and families. I do appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. See you next time. Bye for now.